really thought many of our classic programs were lost forever. Our prize restoration is this classic recording of Ladysmith Black Mambazo. Here's what the recording sounded like before the baking. And here is what it sounds like now.
Ngaibuza igama layo ayiphendulanga yaphela phansi yase yakhala izinyembezi nomathemba wangishiya
This year, the Pacifica Radio Archives traveled across America greeting new audiences, scholars, students of higher learning. Community radio producers and listeners were introduced to the sound of history. We called it the Save Our Sounds 2005 American Tour. The SOS Tour has 4 main goals: tape preservation, community outreach, environmental education, and increased access.
Don't want you to see I stand before you all. I was judged by you a murderer, the hangman's not much.
3 members of the Pacifica Radio Archives staff and 240 master recordings journeyed across the country from the archives offices in North Hollywood to George Blood's Safe Sound Archive in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Words that you will ever hear. If I had some education to give me a decent start, I might have been a doctor or a master in the arts.
The first goal was tape preservation. The archives team hand-carried hundreds of one-of-a-kind recordings across the country to donate to institutions and in order to save some of the more fragile reels.
The inmates and the prisoners, I found they were my kind.
George Blood, the founder of the Safe Sound Archive, worked with us earlier this year to save a valuable Allen Ginsberg recording.
All archives have a value. What's particular about Pacifica isn't that because you're interested in the far left that there's going to be lots of stuff there, or that you have interest in California, but that there's a lot of material about a lot of historically significant people, significant politically, significant culturally, in a single repository. The biggest problem with something like Azimuth is somebody hears the tape and it sounds not right, and it's just old.
Right, exactly.
That's usually the biggest problem.
So here we go. This is the digitizing of the original 1956 reading of Allen Ginsberg, Howl.
I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked, dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn looking for an angry fix. Angel-headed hipsters, burning for the ancient, shuddering connection to the starry dynamo in the machinery of night, who poverty and tatters and hollow-eyed and high sat up smoking in the supernatural darkness of cold water flats floating across the tops of cities contemplating jazz.
The second goal was community outreach. En route from California to Philadelphia, the crew stopped to introduce Pacifica affiliate stations to the archive's collection and its mission.
Welcome back to the microphones here in the northern part of the state.
Good morning.
Hey, thanks for having us, Philip.
Explain what you're up to now.
Right. This really is the culmination of probably the past 4 years of applying for grants, assessing what we needed to do. learning what we need to do, getting some training, and then selecting tapes for special preservation. And the Safe Sound Archive outside of Philadelphia is one of the top houses in preservation. And so through grants from the NEA and the Recording Academy and from donations from listeners from KPFA and the rest of the Pacific Network during our Pacifica Fund Drive once a year, we've allowed ourselves to take 170 tapes this time, and we've already preserved 40 from the first trip. That's sort of like the culmination of all that process of getting the money to get these materials transferred to digital format, and then we can listen to them in their pristine elements.
So, Mark, how many total recordings are there in the archive?
Well, we actually have probably over 50,000 titles, and in actuality, I don't think we have to remind the KPFA audience that the entire collection really started here in 1949 when Lou Hill went on the air, and many of these tapes are suffering from really the ravages of time. And
as we all are.
Right.
Exactly.
We'd like to take more.
I'm feeling old this morning, Philip. The bottom line is we're building bridges between community radio stations across the country, and you're a very integral part of this community relationship, and we want to thank all of the community
million highways and the cities at the break of dawn.
Our third goal was environmental education.
47 feet from our very first geocache, we're going to be planting a disc from Pacifica Radio Archives with the travel bug. It's about 445 feet that direction. Let's go find it. Geocache. Where are you?
Somewhere in the city,
618-317.
I am somewhere in the city, I'm climbing up a fire escape.
Yeah, our first geocache baby.
The archives